As usual, I want to thank everybody for registering and attending. This is our 9th Business Matters Chat. Anna mentioned a little earlier, I don't know if everybody on the call heard it, but if you have questions, send them to her in the chat box. Or at the end, if there's still time, we'll try and get those addressed if you have them, if you haven't submitted them. So today I'm pleased to have with us our new executive director of the Racine Public Library, Angela Zimmermann. Angela is originally from South Milwaukee, but somehow she always knew Racine as a place because we had Kringle, and she found her way down here to get some of that. So that's interesting. While she spent her childhood years in South Milwaukee, she spent considerable time living, studying, and working abroad, specifically in Germany and Chile. I would have never guessed that. The first part of her professional career was spent in the private sector as a translator and within marketing, while the last 5 years has been spent in public libraries. Prior to accepting the executive director position with Racine Public Library, she held library director positions in McGuanago Community Library and Powers Memorial Library in Palmyra. Growing up, the public library played a significant role in her life. She's got many fond memories, especially in the summertime, of riding her bike down to the library and spending hours upon hours exploring what was on the shelves. She considered access to the library's resources a personal treasure. It was at that time that she found her love for libraries and started to really grow into it, and felt that it was inspirational work that the libraries were doing and ultimately how they served their communities. So without further ado, please help me welcome Angela Zimmermann.
Well, that was fantastic. I don't need to do anything more. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So thank you very much. I'm excited to be the guest speaker today. I did frantically write Anna yesterday, wondering if I really had to talk for the entire hour. I had a moment of panic. She reassured me that I did not. So I don't have anything formal per se. I do see some fellow librarians in here. They'll probably hear me mention some things I did present at Rotary Club a couple weeks back. But I hope that I just share at least what the goal and vision for the Racine Public Library is, and speak a little bit about what drew me here, and then I'll welcome any questions. So yes, as Matt mentioned, I began in mid-December, middle of December. Really weird time to start such a important position where the director should always be the face of the library, but it was kind of interesting coming into a very isolated library and having to make connections all virtually. So even just this past week, I encountered some staff I had not yet seen in person. I would never have recognized this person walking down the street. So we're still kind of in that awkward phase of getting staff back into the building and me just becoming familiar with staff and just virtually meeting a lot of people as well. So it's been a very, very interesting time to start such an important position, but it's been fantastic. So just to start really quickly, I personally feel that my one goal with libraries is definitely getting across that we are far more than just a repository for books. And I truly believe that a library has a place at every table within practically every city and county in America, meaning I really believe in the importance of public libraries and having a strong, skilled staff of librarians so that we build a library that's constantly innovative and adaptive to the needs of the community. So we're constantly changing and reinventing ourselves and being as adaptive and innovative as possible. My one favorite phrase to say too, we are no longer in the book business, but we are in the people business. This is a human-centered profession. And as I talk more about the initiatives that I've started since I've come here, you will really pick up on some of the changes I've already brought that really center around that. Because two of the biggest influences and changes coming to the libraries right now, or the accelerating trends that we could say particularly relevant to libraries and librarians, well, obviously the increasing reliance on digital technologies. So that's a huge pivot for us. Lots of our reference questions now all center around technology and the use of technology. So we have a lot of tech classes, coding classes, and just basic how to use a computer, how to use Zoom, stuff like that. So that's the majority of our reference questions that we're getting now. And the other accelerating trend is the increasing vulnerability of disadvantaged and marginalized communities. So the library in any community is that trusted, safe, and venerable institution. So I will mention further on down in my little talk some of the initiatives I'm taking in regards to serving the needs of our community, and going into further depth on that. Just some statistics really quick. So 2020 was obviously the year that we all want to forget, but the library, I can't commend the staff enough for pivoting to meet the needs of the community. So I wasn't here for that, but obviously I came in mid-December, but they quickly pivoted to offer curbside service, curbside internet access, online programs, a hybrid of programs, book bundles. We have a dedicated call center now, which we actually will continue even with the building being open. So I just can't commend the staff enough here at the Racine Public Library to keep those services going during such a pandemic, during the pandemic. So, and within the guidelines allowed by the city. So in the year 2020, though, I'm just going to throw some statistics out there because I'm sure this is going to prompt some questions afterwards. The library did about 300,000 in circulation. So all of our funding for libraries comes solely through physical items leaving the building. So we do not receive funding for all of like the databases and the e-resources that we offer, nor all of the impressive programs that public libraries put on. That is just an additional service that libraries offer. And we held about 371 programs during 2020. As a reference, in 2019, the Racine Public Library circulated about 600, just shy of 650,000 items. So it was pretty much cut in half for 2020. And we held about 631 programs with an attendance of just shy of 17,000 people. The Racine Public Library has 53,282 registered users. So we service not only the city of Racine, but we also service Caledonia, Mount Pleasant, and Sturtevant. And so our service population as a whole is just shy of 137,000. And the library or library system that is most comparable to the Racine Public Library would be the Kenosha Public Library. They service about 137,000 in their circulation as comparison to what we did in 2019. So non-pandemic year was just shy of 900,000. So that's about 300,000 more than the Racine Public Library. So I'm sure these will prompt questions at the end, so just wanted to throw those statistics out there. So coming back to the Racine Public Library, though, we did open, we got the okay from the city. We opened with a physical, or in the physical building with limited access on April 19th. So 1 month ago, we opened. That was my first time seeing people in the building. It was a little bit difficult at first making some decisions because I had never even seen Racine Public Library open prior to the pandemic. I had never visited the library before, so it was my first time seeing it open to the public. We are at the point, though, where we're already easing quite a few of the restrictions. I'll be taking away the time limitation. We initially opened with only 45 minutes in the building, but everybody's been spectacular at following all the rules and the guidance, so we will be lifting some of those restrictions effective tomorrow. And then we're doing absolutely everything to draw attention. If you can get anything from this presentation today, if you could just spread the word that the Racine Public Library is open, that would be fantastic. I think people still assume that we are closed, so we're really just trying to market and advertise as much as possible to get us to get the word out that we are open. In one way we're doing that, we were chatting about before the presentation started. Wednesdays we've turned into kind of, thank you. We turned it into kind of lunch at the library. So we have food trucks coming on Wednesdays from 11 to 2 p.m. We had food trucks this week and last week, and we'll have several next week. And then we also have a tent set up outside the library where people can they can come into the library as well, but we also have materials and items where people can check items out right from outside the library or register for a library card, whatever you need to do. So we're going to also try, we're still in the planning stages of it. We hope to initiate it in June, but we will like to start an outdoor music venue kind of on the hill, kind of set up like a Coliseum sort of thing. But the seating will be on the hill and the bands will be down on the sidewalk area. And then we also have initiated outdoor movies and tons of outdoor programming. So we look to start more of that. But I also have given the okay to begin initiating indoor person programming safely with limited in-person registration starting tomorrow as well. So that's all slowly but surely and very excitedly picking up. So So that's that. And then I just have to put in a little plug for all of our e-resources as well. I think that those picked up enormously during the pandemic. Obviously, everybody was online, and I don't think many people realize all of the e-resources available and free with your library card if you just go to our website. So everything from Wisconsin's Digital Library and Libby, which is free online access to ebooks and e-audiobooks. We have LinkedIn Learning, which actually replaced Gale courses, but LinkedIn Learning offers thousands of online learning classes. So to learn in-demand skills from real world industry professionals. We have BrainFuse and Help Now to provide live tutoring and homework help, live skills building, expert online writing assistance, everything from consumer reports to ancestry, etc. is all free with your library card. And I don't think that's a very well-known fact. It's not like we hide it or anything. I just don't think many people assume that it's there. So now to talk about some of the things that brought me to the Racine Public Library is actually our strategic plan. If you did want me to talk for the whole hour, I could read the entire 26 pages of the strategic plan, but I don't think we have to do that. That is visible on our website, and it's just a very ambitious plan. And the vision for that strategic plan is to make this library a world-class organization. That kind of really was the pull to bring me to this library. I really want to make this library just simply shine. And it all centers around growth, improvement, innovation, and sustainability. So those were really key draws for me to come here. So that's kind of my guiding light in everything we're doing right now. And also another fact that brought me to the Racine Public Library is the fact that Racine is a smart city. So I really bring technology into everything that we do, and really understanding how technology can better leverage the needs of our community to solve actual citywide problems. So quite a bit of technology has also been brought into the Racine Public Library since I've been here, and I will elaborate on that as well. So just some exciting things that have started since I've arrived. A question that I'm not bringing this up because of our conversation over lunch. It literally is a question that I get probably every other day, but was wondering if there's any potential to build a second branch to the library, because we are downtown. It is a lot for somebody to drive from Mount Pleasant or Caledonia to get down to the library, or Sturtevant to get down to the library. Obviously, we have the bookmobile, and this was a pretty hefty discussion with my board when I first came on, but the board did decide to stay within this current building. So we will be remaining in our current building and undertaking a second floor renovation. I'll go further into that. And as I understand it, it took place several years back, but there was interest in potentially building a second branch out in Mount Pleasant. That didn't fall through, though. The interest was there, but the support for the funding wasn't there. So long-term, my goal definitely is to raise that support to somehow get a second branch. But my focus right now is to get our second floor renovation, potentially third floor, with the current building that we're in. Kind of leading into that, though, I made the argument to my board in April, because they have chosen to stay in this current building, we do need some sort of outlet to continue to reach these communities and neighborhoods that we're missing. We're also missing a good portion of the northern part of our city, as well as the Spanish-speaking population within the community. So they did approve my request to go forward with getting a second bookmobile. So that alone is very exciting, because I think that effort had been tried several times and was denied. So we do have currently the bookmobile, which, by the way, as of last week, I'm also allowing browsing on as well. So we have the current bookmobile, which with their very full schedule throughout the week. And we will be getting a second bookmobile fully customized to debut the early months of 2022. And that will be for reaching out in those technology desert neighborhoods, kind of acting as a community Wi-Fi hub, those northern population of the city, but also, again, Caledonia, Sturtevant, Mount Pleasant. I already had so many requests since I've been here in my 5 months. Can we get the bookmobile? And I thought it'd be as simple as me just taking it off the schedule, but then I didn't realize how many people I'd be mad by taking it off of its current schedule to get it somewhere else. So this is very much of a need within the community. So that'll be acting as another hub. My also very near future initiative is to reach out to all of the community centers to act as sort of like, I don't know if we want to say branches, that might be a bit strong, but to also act as sort of community hubs where we'll be lending out laptops, hotspots, and also have items there where people can circulate and check out materials. So that kind of falls in the line of filling that need of not being able to build that second branch right now, but hopefully building that support to get people to realize we really need a second branch or something further out west. And just as a tidbit, something very fun, and thank you to the Rotarians that are on this call, but the Racine Rotary Club did approve a grant request to get some book bikes. So those will be debuting. Originally it was just one, but we're gonna get two actually, and these will be able to kind of get around the city and the community, and also we'll be able to transport these out into the county as well to set up kind of pop-up libraries wherever we would be welcome. So our first one should be coming by mid-June because every library in the world is trying to get outside of its physical buildings. These are a little bit backed up in regards to production. The second one we won't be able to get till September, but this first one we hope to get even at First Fridays or and really trying to stay aligned with what initiatives are going on downtown Racine. So I always reach out to Kelly Cruz to see where we can be present, and we'll plan to have the book bike there at all those outreach events then as well, because it's all for me about getting the library outside of its physical walls. So that's something exciting. I'm not going in any linear fashion right now, so I'm very sorry about this. So going back to serving the marginalized communities, I will be presenting to my board tomorrow. It was approved already by the Finance and Personnel Committee, but to actually hire a licensed social worker. So this is something kind of newer in libraries. I think there's only one other public library in the state that has an actual licensed social worker, and that would be Eau Claire. But this is an incredible need for the Racine community. So every day, the library staff are, we know our community is dealing with poverty, food insecurity, hunger, domestic abuse, housing insecurity, homelessness, etc. So even within my first 5 months here, I very much recognize that this was a need within the community. So I don't have any worries about the board fully approving this and then us getting this job posting out fairly quickly. Us as librarians, we can absolutely provide all the information on that, but my goal is really to bring that existing patchwork of all those community groups together by having that one centralized social worker actually doing intake within the library. So that's a very exciting step. Again, we can provide the information, but the librarians can't provide the provision of social services. Second floor renovation. I actually have the plans in front of me. So we will be going forward with this. I think this has come up quite a bit to redo the second floor and kind of rethinking how we can make the library as welcoming, inclusive, and inviting as possible. And so this second floor, I'm just going to ramble some exciting facts on what we're looking at. We only have the one main access point that's down by the library drive, but we're looking at second access points on Lake Avenue on the west side. So that people can either come, it's just a weird kind of setup. If you take this weird elevator up to Lake Avenue, it would just be easier if we had a second access point. So we're looking at a second access point into the building. An innovation lab, so kind of a maker space, a hands-on learning area. This is kind of what I'm known for in libraries. It's just what I do, bring this technology to libraries. So we're looking at an innovation lab. We've already received funding and have brought in we have 5 3D printers now. So we have 3D printers, we have a laser engraver, we're exploring with drones, augmented mixed virtual reality, but having this innovation lab to provide this hands-on learning to the community further, but also taking that to outreach within the schools. I made a horrible assumption, we should never make assumptions, but I made the horrible assumption that all the schools within the Racine School District had maker spaces. I guess, like I said, I just assumed, but that's not the case. So the second bookmobile will also act as kind of a tech mobile and bring in these STEAM initiatives and 3D printers, etc., all on the actual bus to the schools. But we will have a dedicated innovation lab within the library. We're going to look at expanding our local history room and making it more climate controlled. A brand new teen area. I don't know how many have been in the current library, but the teen area needs some help. So we'll be looking at a brand new teen area, even sort of a gaming area, and just making that a really safe and inclusive space for teens. I'm looking at the actual scheme right now, so I don't miss out on anything. Another kind of shocking thing for me coming to the Racine Public Library with the size of the service population that we have, that the fact that we don't have a meeting room. So we need a dedicated meeting room. And my eventual goal with that is that I could explore like co-locating possibly with Gateway Tech College or UW Parkside. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like yet, but really providing those co-location spaces. But we need a meeting room for these larger programs and to be able to hold far more just larger events. So everything with this second floor renovation will be modular and able to be moved and as versatile as possible. There will be a business center as well as the addition of further study rooms and a heavy focus on like specific collections within our library. So I'm really trying to draw attention again to the fact that we are far more than just books. Yes, the foundation of everything we do is literacy and lifelong learning, but we have so much more, like our non-traditional collection as well. So we have about 130 items, I think, in our non-traditional collection. That's everything from being able to check out like Rokus and hotspots to possibly eventually kayaks. So exciting stuff like that. So that would be called the Beyond Books collection, drawing attention as well to our Spanish collection and just kind of those different neighborhoods of collections and setting it up far more like a bookstore to draw that appeal and patrons' attention. So that's very exciting. This is going, the costs are actually going before the board within the next month to get the second floor renovation going. I also desire very much kind of like a Titanic grand entrance into the library. I don't know if that wish will come through with this current project. That may be a phased in project. I was a little bit alarmed when I came to the Racine Public Library as to why I was being ushered up this back alley staircase, and then I realized that was actually the public staircase to the second floor. So that is very much on my to-do list to make far more of a welcoming and appealing presentation there. Some other stuff that we're doing, everything, I'm 100% for all sorts of partnerships. I think I've talked a lot though in the past 5 months, and now I've maybe, all of a sudden we have all these people wanting to partner and I need more staff now. But anyways, 100% for partnerships. We have quite a few interns coming on this summer. I'm all about bringing teens on to get hands-on learning experience. So we partnered with, so I don't know the exact setup of how this works, but I worked with Jeff at RAMAC to work with the academies to bring on 2 interns from the academies to have innovators in residence on here. I would actually like to hire them though. I would be hiring them as innovators in residence to work with our tech team and actually get hands-on experience teaching coding classes, tech classes, one-on-one with seniors, stuff like that. So that'll be happening. We're also partnering with Uplift 900, that's with the county, I believe, and to bring on an intern as well this summer. And we're also working with the Southeastern Wisconsin Workforce Development to bring on interns as well. Yes, and then we're also going to be working with the schools to bring on a teen library council, and not just, I led the teen library council at my previous library, but actually giving more quote unquote power to the teens and letting them actually make decisions, run programs. They ran some of the largest programs at my previous library with a couple thousand coming, but actually giving them leadership positions within the library to make these ideas come to fruition. And then just the whole tech initiative, I really want to focus everything around equity and being sure that we can get laptops and hotspots in the hands that need them the most. So I will be working with the community centers to see what I can do to make that happen. So that's kind of everything really quickly in a nutshell of stuff going on. There's also some not shiny stuff that has to take place too since I've been here, but we don't need to talk about that right now. So that's where I stand. I could keep rambling on about other things that I've started at the library and about how amazing I think public libraries are, but I could just open it up to the floor for questions at this point, if that's all right.
How big is the staff at the library?
There are, with the 2 interns that would come on, there would be 63.
Oh, that's significant. All right.
It's a larger staff, yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say I don't have a voice, so I was hoping the chat would be available. But hi, Angela. I'm happy to hear everything that you're doing. Matt will snicker now. I'm so happy that you're bringing on youth apprenticeships because I work with RUSD. And I work with Gateway. So I'm happy to hear all the things that I believe that you have already done with John over in our Fab Lab. So
yes.
So I will be contacting you to have more conversations about it, the academies.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's something I started at my previous library as well. And it was just a fantastic experience. And like I said, I'm calling them interns, but they will be RPL employees. We'll actually hire them. And then my idea is that we'd employ a junior and a senior. And then as the senior graduates, we'd hire another junior.
Yeah, and I know that Gateway and Parkside and Carthage are doing internship 101 for college interns too. They're working on getting the whole program to streamline all of that. So it's amazing
Fantastic.
stuff.
Yes, cool. I look forward to connecting.
Angela, you have a lot going on. It's amazing. It's crazy. But where do you get most of your funding from?
So that's a great question. So we get funding from the city and from the county. So I'm kind of smiley because this conversation just came up last week. Our bylaws had not been altered they should have been altered several years ago, but the statutes, as we all know, always trump the bylaws. But the bylaws had limited the number of members on my board, which in theory is incorrect. The county can have up to 5 members actually on the Racine Public Library Board because of the service that we do within the county. So I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, so I could be corrected, but for 2021, we received 2.2 million, I believe, from the city and around 1.8, maybe just shy of 1.8 from the county. And then through various grants and initiatives, and we also charge for various things like copies and prints and like that. But we are fine free, so we don't charge for fines or anything. Otherwise, the majority of the funding is going to come from the city and the county.
So, and I just want to, this is MT. And just to clarify, it's not like that comes out of our county budget. That is a tax, a separate
Yes.
tax from the county that goes through the Lakeshore Library System that then distributes it based on circulation and different factors like basically circulation and population, things like that. So just so you know, it's not like comes out of our county budget.
Right. Yeah. It's always on circulation though. So that's why when we sometimes bombard you somewhere to like check out 500 items, that's where it's coming from. So.
Yeah.
So, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, I think it's also mostly print items that they're counted. I don't know if they get counted yet for all your, right.
We do not. That's all an extra service. We do not get any funding for Overdrive or Libby usage. So that's ebooks and e-audiobooks. That's all an extra service that we provide, but we do not get funding for that.
So I was going to ask a question. Uh-oh, now I've lost it. Crud. So since we are the chamber and a business association, is there anything that the business community can do for you, for the library, for your staff, besides just helping spread the word or going and, utilizing the services and taking out 500 books at a time? But is there anything, that the business community can do?
So, well, absolutely. So, I mean, it kind of goes back to the conversation. So MT asked me over lunch, like if I'm looking towards being a second branch, kind of like Kenosha does. So Kenosha also has 4 libraries and 3 bookmobiles. So we have 1 library and now, 1 current bookmobile and 1 bookmobile coming in 2022. That does all wrap around. Kenosha just has more money. And we took a pretty big budget hit for 2021. And so yes, initially, if you could just spread the word that we're open right now, that's fantastic. But otherwise, if there would be anything towards like the second floor renovation or even I'll be requesting help from foundations and various organizations to help fill our second bookmobile. We have the second bookmobile coming, but I don't necessarily have all the equipment and the technology for it yet. So I will be reaching out for assistance with that. But also in regards to this innovation lab and this whole focus around vocational trades and everything, the technology that we look to eventually have in there too will be everything from a CNC router. So any funding around that is also needed. We don't want to cross paths, though. I'm glad Sarah said that. We don't want to compete with Gateway. We want to work with Fab Lab, and we're all trying to accomplish the same thing. So if there's anything around there, that would be absolutely welcomed. But right now, initially, my focus is going to be on filling that second bookmobile. So I have the bookmobile coming. I just don't have the equipment to go inside of it yet. And that's everything from the actual collection to the technology. So.
Angela, hi, it's Lisa Just from Advocate Aurora. Nice to meet you and thank you for the chat today. I am really intrigued by the innovation of you bringing a social worker onto your team. Could you speak a little bit more about how you would leverage that person in addition to what you've already told us?
So yes, this is a very new idea, bringing it on. We worked closely with the director. Well, I asked quite a few questions from the director in Eau Claire to learn more about this, because again, I'm only here 5 months, but initially I really saw that need. So even from the call center and some of the questions that they were encountering, I would get emails back like, do you have any plans to hire a social worker? Because we were able to just, like I said, provide that information. And then it's almost like we did our job as a librarian, but we just kind of left them hanging then. So that whole idea of bringing that social worker in there. We also partner with Carthage College. We have social work interns, so we will continue that as well. So we will have a dedicated social worker and 2 social work interns. But I'm really gonna have to see how this works out first, because I didn't know how my board was initially going to take it, or at least the finance and personnel. And it was, of course, it was totally the opposite way. They're actually worried we will be inundated with questions and referrals. So I don't know if I'm going to necessarily advertise right away. I think it is going to be a word of mouth and to see how this is going to work out. But again, as I mentioned, we encounter unemployment issues, homelessness issues, and we just want to be able to bring all of that, like I said, existing patchwork. We have all those contacts, but I just kind of felt like we were just throwing the patrons out into the wind, and if that makes sense. That's a horrible analogy, but this social worker then will have an intake office, a referral office, as well as their own office. But obviously we want to take all privacy and confidentiality concerns into play, particularly as librarians as well. So they will have their own dedicated area to work and keep all that contact information on site. And I don't know if I can speak yet as to how the referrals will work. I don't know. I'm assuming we will put the hours on the library, like front door and website. I just don't know how heavy we're going to be at advertising right away until we understand how the flow of this will work. Because now I didn't initially think that way. I didn't think we would be inundated, but now that's kind of at the forefront of my oh, we might be inundated with this. Maybe we'll have 2 social workers by the end of the year. So yes, and we'll also work closely with the county as well. I know Darcy, the head of Youth and Adult Services, she's been doing research on this for at least 5 years about social workers in libraries. So she's definitely the expert on my staff to speak to this better. But she has close connections with Carthage, and they're also willing to be part of the hiring process. To bring the social worker on. We would love if this social worker could be bilingual. So we're going to try that as well. But she also has the contacts at the county to make this come to fruition. So, yes, so it is exciting, but it is also very new in libraries. So that
Thank you.
Okay,
Yep,
all right.
thank you.
I have a tendency to ramble sometimes, particularly when I'm talking about libraries. So I'm sorry.
It's wonderful. The energy is great. I mean, I'm born and raised in Racine, and I do have a library card. I did update to do things virtually, but I would love to step back in the library and see a renovation. It's been a really long time. So I have a big open house. Let us know. We can do ribbon cutting. We can do all kinds of things to get people inside. So.
Well, I remember that was one really big question during my interview process as to how I got people interested in the library. And I remember probably answering sarcastically, but just stating that I just come with all this energy and ideas, but that after I think it was almost after a year when I was in McWanago, I really didn't have to me personally spread the word anymore, because everybody saw what the library was doing. And just then everybody else spread the word. Then we had advocates everywhere spreading the word on what the library was doing. So if that makes sense. So.
Oh, 100%.
No,
Oh, go ahead.
I just had an idea. when you were talking about Wednesdays specifically, have you connected with this RUSD, because they are asynchronous Wednesdays, about how to engage those students on Wednesdays specifically?
No, but we shall and we should. Yes, I will make it.
I mean, there's only a couple weeks left of school, but why not?
Right.
Because I think the teachers, because they went back to in person in March, they started out at 50%. I think they're up to 65 or 67% back
Mhm.
in person, but they still have asynchronous Wednesdays.
Correct.
And
I
they-
will look into that.
Yeah, so let me know, because like I said, I work for Gateway, but really quick, I work directly with the Academies of Racine. So I can help get to those counselors and to set that up, to figure out how to get to the students on those asynchronous Wednesdays.
Fantastic. Because yes, that would be great.
I was just going to say, Matt, we're about 5 minutes out. I don't have any other questions in the queue unless anyone else wants to chime in. With a smaller group, this worked great, but I don't want to cut anyone off.
I was just
You might want to just throw a plug out there, Angela. I hear you guys have a table for First Fridays at Monument Square.
Yes, I wrote, what was his name? I wrote him yesterday. Yes.
I
So,
just saw it yesterday, so very cool.
yes, and forewarning to everybody, he said he was going to give me the stage. So, okay. Yeah.
Right. My company's gonna have a table on the other end there, so we're sponsoring the first one.
Awesome. Great.
no shameless plugs, Tim. This is
Hey, man.
Angela's time.
You know?
Anna, turn his mic off. Anna, turn his mic off.
Hey, it's called business development.
Beth, I don't know how you control him. Angela, another way to get the word out also is by coming to all of our events, which you know about, the blenders and all that, and mingling and getting the word out about the library. So don't forget those as well.
All right. Sounds good. I really appreciate everybody listening to me today. I'm not in a linear fashion. I just get very excited about things. So I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And I just,
And
wanna
Anna,
do-
and any
I just
other?
wanna do a
Oh, go ahead, MT.
I'm just gonna say, I just did a little plug for the LinkedIn Learning, because I did not know about that, because I knew about Guild courses and I knew those were kind of, but looks good. I have a couple courses I'm gonna look at with my free library card.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can you provide your contact information, Angela?
I will write that right now in the chat.
Thank you.
No, I will not. The chat is disabled.
That's why I was saying the chat is disabled, yeah.
Why is it disabled? I've
Oh, there we
got
go.
something out there.
Sorry, I had no idea what you meant, Sarah. I apologize. I don't even know what that is, so I apologize.
Oh,
Sorry.
there it is.
It's
I
out
have
there.
There you go.
I have a quick question about the fine free. I thought that was just for like through the pandemic. Is this going to be a permanent fine? No fines?
So this happened even before, quite before I came, but Racine Public Library is completely fine-free. That was even before pandemic time, I think. Again, this was before my time, but we are completely fine-free. And that all goes around the idea of eliminating barriers and just allowing access to the library. Don't even get me started on parking. I didn't mention parking at all. That's a different topic. Also, I'm fighting that one, but that might not happen overnight. So,
I can finally return that book from 2003 when I went to school at Cardinal Stritch and I got a book out of the library. I can finally return it now and not have to pay my fine. So thank you.
well, it might be in a lost status, but yes.
I've been told worse. All right. Any other questions for Angela? All right. Hearing none. Thank you, Angela, so much. We appreciate you being a part of this and answering our questions and sharing the library and spreading the word. I want to thank everybody else for joining. Remember now, we are going to go off the air, if you will, for 3 months. We'll be back in September. We're going to take the summer off and start to put together another lineup of speakers coming up starting in September. So look for that to come out. And as always, please get out, enjoy yourself, and I hope to see you at a lot of our events. With that, have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thanks.
Now.
Thank
All right.
you.
See you. Great to see you, Angela.